Hello guys, today I'm going to show you how to make a simple apple pie recipe. First, we're going to start by making the pie crust. Very simple. We're going to use a few ingredients for this. We're going to be using half teaspoon of salt, half tablespoon of granulated sugar, and half pound of unsalted cold butter. Here we have 2.5 cups of flour. First, we're going to start by combining the dry ingredients. Half tablespoon of white sugar. Yep. That's half teaspoon of salt. Then we're gonna start by mixing this together. So now that has been fully mixed, we're gonna start by adding in the butter slowly. Now we have the butter nicely combined together with the flour. See, it's nice and loose. We're gonna start by adding in 6 tablespoons of cold ice water. We're gonna start by mixing this together to form a dough. So there we have it. It's all mixed in nicely. We're gonna turn this off. And then we're gonna start by dividing the pie crust and roll them into plastic wrap. So here we have our plastic wrap, and here's our dough, nicely flattened. Plastic wrap this tightly and nice. We have another one. This is another piece I have. Just gonna flatten this nicely and put this in the fridge. So here we have our dough nicely sealed tightly with plastic wrap. We're going to put this in the fridge to cool for 1 hour. Then we're going to start by making the applesauce. Apple we have is our backyard apple. Not a very sweet apple, but it's great for making pies because it doesn't make it pie very sweet. I'm going to start by peeling these apples and then cutting them into very small pieces. So now we're going to start by peeling these apples. I'm going to start by dicing these up. Here we have our apples nicely diced. I used like 10 apples. So now we're going to start by boiling this down. We're going to add 8 tablespoons of butter. As you can see, our apples is starting to soften in the butter. We're going to start adding our cinnamon spice. We're going to use about 2 tablespoons of cinnamon. I'm going to turn this up. We're going to start by adding in our sugar. We're going to use about 1 cup of sugar. You can use how many sugar you like. Depends how sweet or sour your apple is. Mine is very sour, so I'm just going to add in about 1 cup of sugar. I don't like my apple pie too liquidy, so I'm going to add in 1 tablespoon of flour. I'm gonna now turn this off and leave it to cool.
So here we've got the dough that I've taken out of the fridge. We're gonna go ahead and roll that out to the size of the pie pan. Here I've got my pie pan. I put some butter in there. I'm gonna put some flour here and shake it all around so that the pie doesn't stick to it when I finish baking it. My mother-in-law taught me that trick. Alright, now I'm gonna take the dough, put it over the pie pan. I'm gonna go ahead and line that up and make sure that it goes over the edges. Alright, next up we're going to bring our apple mixture. Now this mixture is a little bit liquidy, so I'm just going to skim the top and take off the apples and put it in the pie pan. We don't want too much liquid to be in the pie pan because that's going to make it too soggy. And we'll go ahead and set that aside. Next I've got the other portion here of the dough. We're going to go ahead and roll that out as well. So here I'm going to go ahead and slice the dough into the width of the weaves that I want in my apple pie.
Not supposed to go down the countertop.
Now I'm going to go ahead and take this long weave and put it in the middle of the apple pie down here. Then take the next longest weave and put it across this way. Now it's a matter of crisscrossing all of these. We'll take the next longest weave here, put it over this way, and then the next longest weave, and we'll set that on top here. Then the next weave over here, some more. Then I'm going to set this on top like this. Pull this back because I want this one to be on top of that one. And I'll pull this forward. And then that one can come forward like that. Same with this one here. You can see this one's on top, so I need this one to be underneath. So I'll pull this one back. Pull this through and pull that out. Same thing here. Crisscross these. That's on the top. That's on the bottom. This one should be on the bottom. And then we'll pull this through like that. So you can see how we're building the weave together. So for this last piece here, I'm going to set it on top. Now because the last straight is underneath, this one's going to be on top. So I'm going to wave this like this. And then we are going to wave this like that. And there's the weave. Then we're going to come out to the last part here. So again, we'll set this on top. Bring this down, across, bring this down, across, and put this back up. So now that my wife is happy with the layout here, I'm going to go ahead and push all of this down here using my fork all the way around to create a nice little pattern. Alright, so my wife wants this pie to end right at the edge here, so we're actually going to go ahead and cut this right here along the edge. Cut off all the excess. And we'll just remove that excess and save it for the next pie. So you can optionally add little patterns here using the fork. I'm just going to put little holes in them so it gives it a little bit of texture. So before we bake, we're going to take a little bit of egg yolk here and just paint it on top just so that it looks really nice and beautiful and gives it that crisp color. So here's the apple pie ready to bake. I'm going to go ahead and put this in for about 45 minutes at 325 degrees Fahrenheit. Alright, and check it out. This is the final apple pie freshly pulled out of the oven. You can see it's nice and brown and crispy. Make sure you subscribe if you want to see more videos just like this one.